So I do want to take a little bit of a look at, go ahead and click that again so we can get some other information up here. Looking at our GI and GI low fat, primarily the GI, looking at some of the competitive, what you're going to see shared, which is not surprising because the other GI diets out there, they're good diets. They use different ingredients, they're formulated slightly differently, but that, there's room for variability and options. And as I said, not any diet is going to feed all of the animals out there equally. There's going to be some preferences. They're individual animals just like us. We've got preferences, but shared benefits. They're easily digestible. They're palatable. A number of them have growth indications. If you want to click that again. Our Blue GI for the dog, the dry and wet are all life stages. So you can use the one product, whether it's young puppies or an adult dog, or a pregnant bitch or a nursing bitch. The Blue GI cat wet is also all life stages. The dry is made for maintenance for adults. That doesn't mean you can't feed it to a kitten for a period of time. I just, depending on the age of the kitten, if they're 9 or 10 months old, I'll worry about it. Absolutely, they're close enough to mature height and weight. If they were 5 months old, I wouldn't have any problem feeding it for 2 to 3 weeks, but then I'd want to get them back onto an all life stages diet. Typically, you can get them past whatever their GI issue is and then put them back on either the regular GI, the canned, or onto another diet. Points of differences that can make your selection. Higher levels of omega-3s, and this is really significant with the omega-3s. Because when cells break, the cell membranes have both omega-3 and omega-6 fatty acids in them in the membrane. When that cell breaks, whether it's a natural cell death or from trauma or from damage, they release those omega-3s. And those omega-3s and omega-6s get metabolized. Well, the omega-6s, when they're metabolized, they start an inflammatory process. Go ahead and click us again and see. So with this, when we feed omega-3s at a higher level, it's going to be incorporated into the cell membranes. The level or the balance of omega-3s to omega-6s is totally dependent on what they eat and how much omega-3s is available. So when that cell membrane breaks, which it will, whether naturally or because of trauma, with the higher omega-3s, we have a lower inflammation. We talked about the mixed fibers and the studies that we've done to help resolve diarrhea, and I'll let you click that again. And the fermentation extracts that can aid in the digestion. Another click. Okay, so let's take a look at some of these. Now, I went middle of the road because Royal Canin and Hills have a ton of GI diets, but we wanted to compare apples to apples, oranges to oranges. So our GI Support, and this product that's shown here is actually the dog product, dry. Hills ID, the Royal Canin moderate calorie, and the Purina EN. And again, these are all fine diets, okay? I'm not about to bash anybody's diet, and I've had years at Royal Canin. They make great products. That doesn't mean they're the only ones who can make great products, though. So let's take a look at some of the key nutrients. Protein, the 4 diets are really pretty close. The Royal Canin is a lower protein. They're still at a level that's appropriate for an adult maintenance, so not an issue there. Fat level, 3 of them are pretty close. Again, the Royal Canin moderate calorie is going to be a little lower fat. Again, there's nothing wrong with that. When we get to a lower fat, sometimes it impacts the palatability of the diet. So that might be an issue with a pet readily eating it. Now look at the fiber source. So we talked about the fiber package and getting that fermentability and the prebiotic fibers in there and what a difference that can make. So we're about 4.7 on a dry matter basis. Hills is a 2.5. Now Royal Canin is pretty comparable at 4. Purina is only 1.6. So that can make a big difference in helping get the gut back to a normal function faster. And then let's look at those omega 3s. Ours is at a 1.1%, again, a dry matter basis. Hills has nothing listed for their omega 3s. We've got 3 times the level that Royal Canin does, and more than 4 times the level of omega 3s that Purina does. That's a significant difference. It's a lot of anti-inflammatory properties. Now, as far as the calorie concentrations, they're really pretty close, pretty comparable. So it just, sometimes it's the things you have to know what to look for in comparison. But you may find one product works better on a particular dog than another, and that's just trial and error. But for the overall category, you can't go wrong with our Blue GI Support. It's a great product. We've got studies behind it, and the palatability is really good. Next slide, please.